The US is scared and urgently asked for Greenland from Denmark. A discovery has frozen the blood of everyone in the Pentagon. According to American analysts, Trump is asking for Greenland not for economic reasons, but because there is an urgent national security issue. And what scared the US and urgently asked for Greenland from Denmark? US President Donald Trump wants Greenland and declared it openly. He also said so in the explosive conversation he had with Danish Prime Minister, a woman, Mette Frederiksen. And according to American analysts, Trump is asking for Greenland not for economic reasons, but because there is a major national security issue. Military officials explained to Trump why Greenland is to the US what Ukraine is to Russia. The Voice of America published an article explaining why Trump wants to take Greenland from Denmark. Greenland is a shortcut for Russian missiles to the US. It froze everyone's blood in the Pentagon. According to the publication, this desire is due to the fact that Greenland is the shortcut for Russian missiles to the US. It also is due to Russia's military activity in the Arctic. There is no doubt that this is geostrategically important to protect US national security from Russian missiles, said British analyst Mark Jacobson. The shortest route for Russian missiles to the United States passes through the North Pole through Greenland. The publication writes, Russia has invested heavily in its military presence in the Arctic in recent years. It's the northernmost air base, Nagurskoye, located in the Franz Joseph Land archipelago. Strategic bombers and missiles capable of carrying nuclear warheads are observed. It's a finding, a discovery that froze the blood of everyone in the Pentagon. There is a threat. Russian nuclear submarines patrol the Arctic seas, while the growing fleet of nuclear icebreakers is also observed. Its presence in the region, along with China, with which Moscow has conducted joint exercises in the Arctic, is being felt. Beijing is also seeking access to valuable minerals under the Arctic ice. There is definitely a threat, especially from Russian military capabilities in the region. Jan Rabeck Clemenston of the Royal Danish Defense College told Voice of America. Greenland is the Ukraine of the Arctic. Voice of America believes that Trump's arguments are similar to Putin's statements about the threats to Russia's security from NATO, with which he justified the launch of the special military operation in Ukraine. And Russia had spoken at the time about the short flight time of NATO missiles to Moscow if they were deployed in Ukraine, and it also blamed NATO for Ukraine's military buildup. It's recalled that Trump had a conversation with the Danish Prime Minister, which did not go well at all. When Frederiksen told Trump that Greenland is not for sale, the US president began to behave aggressively and threatened Denmark because the US president spoke to Mette for 45 minutes last week. The White House did not comment on the call, but Frederiksen said she stressed that the huge Arctic island, an autonomous part of the Danish kingdom, was not for sale, although she noted America's great interest in it. 5 current and former senior European officials briefed on the conversation told the Financial Times that it went very badly. They added that Trump was aggressive and confrontational after the Danish Prime Minister's comments that the island was not for sale, despite her offer of more cooperation on military bases and mineral exploitation. One of the sources said it was horrible. Another added, he is very persistent. He was a cold-blooded person. Before, it was difficult to take him seriously, but I think it is serious and potentially very dangerous. The details of the communication are likely to heighten European concerns that Trump's return to power could rupture transatlantic ties, as the US president puts a lot of pressure on allies to abandon their territories. Trump has started his second term planning the possible takeover of Greenland, the Panama Canal, and even Canada. Denmark in crisis? What Trump does really want Greenland. Many European officials hoped that his comments about seeking control of Greenland for national security reasons were a negotiating ploy to gain more influence in the NATO territory. Russia and China are also trying to strengthen their position in the Arctic, but the call with the Danish Prime Minister dashed such hopes, deepening a foreign policy crisis among NATO allies. The intention was very clear. They want Greenland. The Danes are now in a state of crisis, said the official with knowledge of the conversation. Shocked by the threats, the Danes are completely shocked by this, another diplomat said, speaking to Financial Times. It was a very tough conversation. He threatened specific measures against Denmark, such as targeting tariffs, and said a former senior Nordic official. The Danish Prime Minister's office did not accept the interpretation of the conversation given by anonymous sources. Trump said there are Russian ships everywhere. Trump threatened in early January to impose tariffs on Denmark if it opposes him on the Greenland issue. He also refused to rule out the possibility of using military force to take control of the island. People really don't know if Denmark has any legal right to it, but if they do, they should give it up because we need it for our national security, Trump said at the news conference a few days before taking office. He said, I'm talking about protecting the free world. There are Chinese ships everywhere, there are Russian ships everywhere. We will not let that happen, he said. In Copenhagen, Denmark, Mut Egede, the Prime Minister of Greenland, has repeatedly stressed that the islanders want independence and not American or Danish citizenship, and however she welcomed U.S. business interests in mining and tourism. Frederiksen met with executives from major Danish companies, including Novo Nordisk and Carlsberg last week, to discuss Trump's threats, including possible tariffs against her country. On the day of Trump's call, she told Denmark TV2, there is no doubt that there is a lot of interest around Greenland. Based on the discussion I had today, there is no reason to believe that it should be less than what we have heard in the public debate. This is from Banking News. I'm leaving the link for you. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.